Okay, well, we're live.
Hello, Instagram. Oh, and hello, Facebook. We're live. We haven't figured out how to play music in the beginning, so that'll come in the new year. And I apologize that my dog won't stop barking at me.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to play our handbell.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we didn't play that. We didn't play that at all.
No? I played it once for supporters, and I'm going to have to do a support. My hat's too big. I'm going to have to do a supporter, so I'll do it for them.
Oh, hi from Caroline and Copper. Hi, Caroline.
Hey, Caroline.
We're going to send you an email because we got to get your info on the website. Okay, so people are tuning in now. Again,
Marlo. Son.
I apologize. If anybody would like this dog for Christmas, please come to 700 Pony Road.
Maybe he'd like to go live with Caroline. Maybe
Caroline, Copper would love a playmate.
To have a playmate.
Yeah. Okay, so today what we are going to talk about, since Hanukkah already started and Christmas is this weekend, I'm just going to keep apologizing for my dog. We're going to go over some of the holiday tips as far as we have a food guide that's actually on the website, so I'll post the link on Facebook. On Instagram, it's in the link in bio under free PDF downloads. So we have a pet holiday guide that goes over mostly the foods that are common during these holidays that you can share and that you should avoid with your pet, so we'll go over those today. And that's a free PDF. And then we also have you written some blogs in the past about certain things you saw in practice or in emergency medicine around the holidays where dogs and cats get themselves in trouble.
They do.
Like, I remember so many stories of cats eating tinsel, cats eating string.
Electric cord bites.
Oh, electrical cords with the lights, lights on the tree.
Getting wrapped up in the lights and running, and there comes everything else along with it.
Oh, Flo said your sweater is perfection.
Oh, thank you.
That's your Christmas Scotty sweater.
Scotty's. It's technically not really Christmas.
It's
Scotty's in sweaters on a sweater.
Scotty's in sweaters. Okay.
On a sweater.
That's true. It's not. It's non-denominational or
it's
not religious.
Non-Christmas. It's just dogs in sweaters on a sweater.
It's agnostic. It's not atheist. I don't know. Maybe it is. Anyway. I said I was gonna.
It's generic.
Generic. That's a good word.
That's a better word.
Okay, so on Facebook, I'm going to paste the link to the holiday guide that we're going to talk about real quick.
So let me just say, at our house, we have 10-foot ceilings, so we bought an 8-foot tree. And last year we had a 9-foot tree. This year, I don't know why we skimped, but...
That's skimping. My tree is like 6.5 feet, and I was like, wow, this is a really good tree.
We were really... Because we have Sarah, 2.5-year-old. Well, not even 2.5, not quite. And then we have Forrest, 1.5-year-old. So we were really careful, and we put all the breakable ornaments on the top half of the tree. That was Hugh's job because my mom's really short. So my mom got to decorate the bottom of the tree, I got the middle, and Hugh got the top. So Hugh did all the glass and breakable and real heavy ornaments, went way up at the top. And then the bottom was like things that are absolutely non-toxic, non-breakable. And then we're also live on YouTube. Cool.
Oh, hi, YouTube.
And then we don't use tinsel, but we use those like the shiny bead necklaces, and we just cut them open and drape those around the tree. Well, Sarah is absolutely in love with those shiny bead necklaces, and she wears them all the time. So she keeps taking them off our tree and draping them around her neck, and then she takes them home with her, and then sometimes she brings them back, and sometimes she doesn't. Forrest is jumping up on the tree, and Sarah also takes ornaments. So she'll take an ornament, she'll take it home. Sometimes she brings it back the next day, sometimes she doesn't.
Forrest.
I don't know if they end up on Gwen's tree. I don't know where they end up. Apparently her tree keeps getting decorated and undecorated as well.
Here's Forrest.
So
he's officially an adult this year, so he's a mature adult now.
His baby teeth finally fell out. He finally lost his little baby toothers.
He turned 1. When did he turn 1?
June. He's 1.5 years.
So yes, Forrest last year stole quite a few ornaments off the tree. A lot of family ornaments.
He beheaded Raggedy Ann. Raggedy Ann on her little ridey horse. He took her off and took her
So
head
that
off.
is actually number one on your holiday health hazards for pets is Christmas trees, whether real or artificial.
Ours is real, and the bottom 3 feet now have 0 ornaments because as Forrest and Sarah take them off, we move them higher.
Yes.
So our tree is top heavy.
And so cats climbing the Christmas tree. So this year, my cats actually are pretty good about Christmas trees, but I usually have a fabric tree skirt, and they love that. Edward will like get under the tree
Ours love
skirt.
the fabric tree skirt.
Loves to, get the zoomies on it, whatever. But this year, we actually got a metal tree
ring
Ring?
around the base. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, so because it's metal and it's like just a vertical like metal decorative shell, there's nothing for my cats to climb on or get under, and so everybody has left the Christmas tree alone except for the toddler in my house.
Well,
Toddler has maimed the Christmas tree.
my 3 older cats are totally ignoring the tree. They like to lay under it, but they're totally ignoring it. A couple of the kittens came in, especially when we were filming the Viva Raw cat food, because we needed cats who would eat on camera, which they'll eat anywhere, anytime. So they came in, and I looked over at one point, and Harry was working his way up the middle of the tree. Gwen snagged him through the bottom.
Yes.
So I think that the kittens would love to come in and have a ball with the tree, but
Well, and so the tree, you have on here that the tree can also be a hazard just from tipping over.
well, sure. I've
the
had many
cats climbing
trees.
up the
I've had
trees.
many trees go over.
Or a dog jumping on it.
Yep.
My biggest problem has been with the ornaments, because the first year I got Mila, I remember I called you in a panic because I had those little glass ball decorative ornaments. And for whatever reason, like, Mila is such a good dog. She really doesn't get into trouble. I have no idea what caused her to get into the ornaments. But for whatever reason, she discovered that they kind of pop in her mouth.
Oh, she liked to go.
Yeah, so she liked to just kind of like close her mouth on the glass ornaments, and they pop and split open into a million pieces. But the problem is it's glass. So, and I was like, oh my God, I came home and there was just glass everywhere. And I thought that she like crashed into the tree. I was like, how did this even happen? Did they just explode? Like, what happened here? And then when I was cleaning it up, she went over to the tree and opened her mouth up and just popped one of the balls right off the tree. And so that's when I called you in a panic. I was like, what do I do? And I think you recommended I feed some like oil and bread
with oil, because it'll wrap around the pieces of glass and help slide them on through. So
yeah.
that's
So
what we did.
she was fine. She had no visible injuries, and she loved getting to eat the oily bread. I freaked out though. That was one of the scariest things I've walked into, because yeah. So
But she thought it was a great game.
she had a blast. Then she had a heart attack because she doesn't like getting in trouble, and I literally screamed. I was like, ah! So Mila, yeah, she hasn't touched a Christmas tree since. She was, I think, slightly traumatized by me being
my other
traumatized.
dogs are like, tree, what tree? It's just Forrest. He'll learn.
I think that the other thing I've had issues with is them drinking out of the base too.
Well, and that is a problem, particularly if you put the preservatives in the water. You absolutely don't want them drinking that stuff.
Yeah, I think in general, just because it gets stagnant and
Icky.
moldy, and you don't know what they spray on your trees. Which I realized your tree last year got infested with spiders.
We had a spider hatch out of our a spider hatch, as in
Just one.
thousands of spiders hatched out of our tree. Our tree actually left Christmas morning. There were so many spiders that we were having everybody for Christmas dinner, and Christmas morning we got up, undecorated the tree, drug it outside, and then just had to put the presents on the floor.
So, like, obviously having...
That one was not sprayed, clearly.
Yeah, like having a million spiders hatch in your Christmas tree is not how anybody wants to start Christmas, but I'm also kind of scared of the stuff that they spray on my trees, because
Yes.
there aren't any things hatching out of it.
Yeah, well, nothing's hatching out of my tree now. Well, it hasn't been that long, though.
So next year, I thought about that after I bought my tree, but next year I might go like all hippy-dippy and find an all-natural whatever tree and just like spray it with cedar oil, or I don't know. What essential oil do spiders not like? Something.
Probably cedar oil would work. I
gonna-
hadn't thought of that.
Next year I'm gonna plan ahead, but this year my tree is probably covered in something gross.
I don't know if ours is or not.
So that was, can you think of any other hazards around Christmas trees? That was the main things that you listed from last year.
That's kind of the biggies.
And just
those are the things that I mean, and I have had
and if you have artificial trees,
I've had
obviously.
a lot of Christmas trees fall over.
Really?
Yeah, we have a really good base now.
Well, and I guess maybe because all my Christmas trees, I get really small Christmas trees, so they're not very tall.
I remember as a kid, our trees going over all the time.
Really? That doesn't surprise me. Nanny and Pop-Up aren't exactly the...
She's probably watching.
Hi, Nanny. Secure your Christmas tree better. Jeez. I don't think they should be that top heavy. Okay, anyway. Other holiday plants. So, poinsettias?
Poinsettias, everybody thinks that they're poisonous, but they're actually not. They will cause GI upset. So, 1985, I had a kitten, and he just kept vomiting, and he had diarrhea, and I did x-rays. We didn't have ultrasound back then, and I couldn't find anything, so I did an exploratory surgery to try to figure out why this cat kept vomiting, and what he had in his stomach was poinsettia leaves and flowers. And I had a big poinsettia plant, and apparently he was noshing down on this plant, and it was causing vomiting and diarrhea. Not deadly, but
not good.
Not good. So the poinsettia went after surgery.
So this also had, and I'm not good with plants, so you're probably gonna have to pronounce some of these, but you also have poinsettias, chrysanthemums, evergreens, holly, ivy, juniper, lily, mistletoe,
and amaryllis. So amaryllis are probably the most toxic on that list. That and the lilies, particularly for cats, and particularly the bulbs. How do you keep dogs from doing a tinkle break at the tree? Well, my dogs wear piddle wraps. Forrest has one on because he's a marker.
Forrest has a marking problem, so
we have marking wars, so we use our belly bands, which are on our website in multiple sizes.
At drjudymorgan.com.
Multiple sizes and colors.
Forrest is wearing a size small.
No, that's actually the medium that he has on. He can wear a small or a medium.
He's wearing a size medium.
George can wear a medium or a large, and George is about 16 pounds.
He's wearing the solid color pack, but they also come in patterned colored packs.
There's one that's all blue jeans. But
and
anyway,
if you want training advice, you're probably asking the wrong
Do not
people.
ask me about house training dogs. I can unhouse train any dog. I'm really good at that. Gabby's our only good one.
2023, because training is just not something that we have a lot of experience and specialty in, but 2023 we're going to bring on some really cool trainers for more topics like that. So unfortunately it doesn't help for Christmas.
What about Christmas cactus? Again, I don't think they're poisonous, but you really don't want them chewing on them.
Yeah. And so those are the plants that are going to cause GI upset or some like toxicity issues. But you also have many horror stories just from decorations. I know like cats and tinsel, I think, are the most notorious.
Tinsel.
Or bows, cats and ribbons.
Ribbons. So every one of the presents that we wrap this year has these big poofy bows, and they have the long strings that come out of them that we curl. So they're like 4 feet long. That would be a disaster if a cat, and I mean, your brother's cat Q, if he could find a bow, it didn't matter if it was a long string or just the little stick-on bows, that cat loved bows more than he would strip every present. So all of our gifts, believe it or not, I'm done shopping and I'm done wrapping, which is ridiculously unusual for me because I'm usually Christmas Eve like, oh my gosh, I have to do all this. So, but we're way ahead. But we have all these packages with bows. So we have a walk-in closet. Every shelf from about here, like every shelf all the way around the walk-in closet has packages with these big bows because we can't leave them on the ground, even in the closet, because Forrest would go in there. Our cats really don't go in there, and we can't put any packages under our tree until Christmas morning. Even Christmas Eve, if I put them out, the cats would be all over them. So Christmas morning, the presents will go under the tree.
So really quickly, can you just explain why ribbons specifically are a terrible foreign body for pets? I mean, so there's different kinds of foreign bodies. So when they swallow something, like if they swallowed a golf ball.
Or a pacifier.
It
makes a cork.
Right, so that's different from like a ribbon. So
Right.
could you explain why,
So
like how
ribbon and string. So if you're making like a big roast and it's got strings tying it together,
Ooh, that's always
and
bad.
they get in the trash, let me tell you, they will go for those. So these are called linear foreign bodies because it's a long line. And what happens is usually one end of it will get hung up somewhere in the stomach, in the intestines, somewhere. It'll just get hung up. And then the long piece will trail down the intestines, and then the intestines will accordion up along the string. So kind of like a hair scrunchie, it would bunch up along the string. And then as it gets tighter and tighter, it actually cuts like a knife through the intestines. So I would hate so I had a dog trainer once who made a rope toy for his dog, and it was a large breed dog. And the dog played with it, but then he shredded it and ate it. And the toy, what it was a big ball of like yarn or string that he wrapped around and around and around and around. So it literally probably had 50 yards of yarn on this thing. And the dog ate it.
Oh no,
And
that's
so,
a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. By the time he brought the dog to me for surgery, we got in there, it had cut through the bowel in a dozen places. So we got it out of there, we did the repair work, and the dog did great and then died a week later when it got septic because it just broke down. So linear foreign bodies are the worst. Keep strings, like cooking strings, wrapping strings, ribbons, tinsel, so bad.
Yeah, and with those types of things, it can be hard because the symptoms can be like
anything. Like you might
it
think,
could be
oh
vomiting,
well,
diarrhea,
he
not eating.
he got some food he wasn't supposed to get, so he's vomiting or has some diarrhea, or oh, it was the holidays were real exciting and now he's not eating very well, and
Yeah.
so the symptoms can mimic so many other things. So be very vigilant about that kind of stuff.
And especially for kitty cats because they love ribbon and string.
They love string.
And then the last thing was holiday food and drink. Is that the last thing? No, there's 4 more things.
You got a bunch of stuff on there.
Okay, we're gonna circle back on holiday food and drinks because it's a whole PDF on its own. Entertaining guests. This is my passion point because I lose a cat every time I have guests over to my house.
You do.
Every time I lose a cat.
That's because your cats like stalk the door. You open the door and they're like, psh.
Well, and I realized
You literally have to be like kicking cats out of the way as you come in.
So dating somebody who is deathly allergic to cats, he obviously doesn't have any cat experience.
No cat
And
sense.
so my boyfriend will just leave the door open because he's never had cats before, and I feel like people that grow up in a cat home, like that's a cardinal sin. It's like, shut the door. Were you raised in a barn? Come on, you don't have any indoor cats trying to like bolt as soon as you open the door, because that's the type of house I live in. And let me tell you, my cats know. They know when somebody walks in the door that's not a cat person, and they run right through their legs and disappear.
They're bad. So when Gwen got married a few years ago, a bunch of us,
I lost a cat.
a lot of parents, in-laws, everybody was at Gwen's house, and one of her cats, Gwen wasn't home, and we were just doing stuff, and somebody left the door open, and one of her cats left, Reginald, and so then when Gwen came home, we had to say, oh, by the way, your cat's missing. Actually, it was your wedding day, or the day of the rehearsal dinner.
It was, yeah, I think he was lost for my wedding day.
Yep.
I think it was like the day before my wedding, and we were like, oh, who wants to tell Gwen? Like,
Nobody wanted to tell Gwen, and then it took a week.
We lost your cat.
It took a week to find the cat.
Yeah, and then it turns out that my cat will not come back, so I have to trap him. But now that I've learned, I bought like a have a heart. I bought a have a heart trap, which if you have cats, purchasing one off of Amazon is a great idea. And now I have to, if my cats get out, I have to trap them, and I can trap them like the first night, usually. But if not, they won't come back.
They are
ever.
pretty food motivated.
Thankfully. They just get scared and they won't come when I call them or anything. So I've learned I have to trap my own cats.
Well, our office cat, Judy, back at Clayton, that happened one day. A delivery person left the door open, and Judy went outside. Now, Judy started out as a stray cat on the farm, so you would think he had outdoor sense. Well, at that point, he'd been living inside for 15 years.
Wears off.
He got outside. He got scared. We called every delivery driver that had come that day. We had them check every stop where they had gone. We had them check their child. Like, we did everything trying to track down this cat. And about a week after he disappeared, we looked out the window at the pharmacy and went, oh my gosh, there's Judy sitting under a piece of old foundation in the little wooded area. And now, I'd owned this cat for 15 years at that point, went outside, he darted back under there, would not come, scared to death, scared out of his little wits. I'm like, you used to be an outdoor cat.
No.
Too scared to come to us, so we had to trap him.
Yep. Some indoor cats, like, they get outside, they panic.
Freak.
They're like, I've never seen you in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, I've had you for the last 8 years.
You don't know who I am. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so now I learned holidays, special occasions, my cats get locked in a separate room. So that way, usually like a bedroom or somewhere that guests aren't going to be in. So that way there's like 2 layers of cat security. And then if they do get out, both my cats are microchipped. They don't wear collars. Edward sometimes wears a little breakaway collar, but I don't keep collars on my cats generally. But having a little ID tag on them definitely wouldn't be a bad idea during the holidays.
Well, so we have a problem at our house. Our door from our garage into the laundry room doesn't latch really well. The builder has to come fix it, but it doesn't latch really well. So unless you were really intentional, it will kind of pop open a little bit. And Forrest, because of his hydrocephalus, if he's standing 4 feet in front of me and I call him, he will look the other way. He is directionally challenged. He cannot tell which direction you're calling from, so he goes the other way. So at our house, the rule is all the garage doors, the doors to the outside, have to be shut at all times. Like, we don't just leave our garage door up, because if somebody went out through the laundry room door into the garage and it didn't latch and a garage door was open, Forrest would leave.
Yeah.
So he's only gotten out once. We have a fenced backyard that he goes into, and even that has a double gate system. So that, I want belt and suspenders on everything. So we were away on a trip. I think it was our Texas trip, and my cousins came down from New Jersey to visit my mom. We have cameras at the house, so we have cameras outside, front and back, so we can see people coming and going. We live back along driveway, and we have a bell system on the driveway, so we know when someone's coming. Otherwise, there'd be no way for us to know. So Hugh and I are driving on the highway, and his phone is dinging because he gets a notice every time somebody passes under one of the outdoor cameras. And so I looked at it, and this is also a way for me to keep tabs on Mom when we're away, because I can see when she goes back and forth to the barn. She makes like 20 trips a day back and forth to the barn. She just likes to go play with the animals and feed them and check on them. So I look, and I knew my cousins were coming, and so I had seen them come in the morning, and then I was like, oh, they must have just left. So I clicked on the video, and I see my cousins leaving and my mom waving goodbye, and I see this little shadow shoom, going down the driveway. I'm like, that was Forrest. Forrest just ran down the driveway toward Gwen's house. And I'm like, this is so not cool. And it had been like 20 minutes. And then, of course, I never saw Forrest come back in. So I called my mom, and I'm like, do you know Forrest is outside? She goes, well, he's not anymore. I'm like, so the good news is she actually knew that he left. And what he did is he ran all the way down, it's a couple hundred yards, down to the fence.
It was quite the little workout.
It's a couple hundred yards down to the fence between our house and Gwen's house. There's a gate. Luckily, he didn't go through. It's a solid fence. He didn't go through the gate. He got to the fence, turned, and of course everybody's running after him. He's a fast little bugger. Everybody's running after him, calling his name, and he's running the other way because he doesn't know which way to go. And he hit the fence, turned around, and then ran all the way back to our barn. So that's like 500 yards back the other direction. Goes into the pasture with the draft horses. I think he hit the hot wire and then turned around and ran back up the driveway toward the house, and that's where everybody pounced on him. But this is kind of, so my mom's telling me the story, and I'm like, is Forrest in the house? Do we have Forrest?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, he's in the house. It's all good. And I'm like, it's not all good.
Yeah, you gotta start that conversation with, hello, Forrest is safe and in my care.
What she said was,
Let me
how
tell
do you
this,
know he was out?
Let me tell you this cute story you'll find hilarious.
She said, how do you know that? I'm like, we have cameras, Mom. I've been watching you.
Yeah.
She's like, oh.
That's like, well, Reggie, my cat that got out during my wedding, he's also deaf. So trying to find an all-black deaf cat
In the dark.
in the dark, I'm like, it's impossible. There's no way. You just gotta
They
stumble upon him.
Now when your cats go out, though, they really like to go under your house. So that's always a good place to look.
Well, no, so I have two cats, two indoor-only male cats. But when I'm now her neighbor and she lives on a farm, so when Edward will bolt out the door, half the time, I don't chase him anymore because I'm like, whatever. Like, I basically live on a farm. If you want to be an indoor-outdoor cat after 3 whole years of being an indoor-only cat, like, whatever. I'm not going to chase him down, like, to get him back inside. Well, the other night, I walked down to feed the horses, and you have how many barn cats? 12 cats out there?
9 in the barn.
9? That's it in the barn? 10? No,
9
yeah,
are in the barn,
nine
and
in
then
the barn.
2 of the indoor cats also go out.
Okay, so
but they don't go to the barn.
there were approximately 10 cats, but he followed me. This is my indoor-only cat, and he followed me down this dark path. And then I opened the barn door, and I turned the lights on, and he is following right behind me, and you just see 10 cats. And he turned the corner, and my little indoor-only cat, his eyes, like, bulged. He was like, what? He's like, Mom, you sneak down to this, like, cat club every night? Like, and you didn't invite me? And, of course, your cats, he's immediately, like, rolling around on the barn floor, like, chirping at them, making all these noises. He's like, I'm here to join the cat community. And all your cats immediately just smacked him in the face. Immediately. We're like,
You're not part of the club.
You don't belong here, sir. You smell like the house. You don't have what it takes. And yeah, they bullied him a little bit. And then he ran back to my house.
Yeah, well,
So that's my outdoor cat. Very adventurous. He's getting bullied by all of the barn cats.
I wonder if I wonder if he'll meet up with TC.
Well, Porch Kitty, who is like a munchkin cat, she's like this little beach ball tortie, and
Short legs.
she's got these little stumpy legs, but she is feisty. She's probably
mean.
She's probably the feistiest one we have
She's mean.
that showed up. And so she will come up, and at my male cat Edward is at least 13, 14 pounds. Like, he's a pretty big guy. And this little tortie will come up and just kick the crap out of him. There's little white and black tufts of hair on my porch.
Yeah, she's feisty.
And the whole time I can just hear him, like, chirping at her, like, trying to be friends.
He just wants to play.
He just wants to be friends.
He's not very bright. All right, let's talk about fire safety. So we talked about chewing on cords, and boy, talk about a fire looking for a place to happen, open wires, but also candles. I used to really be into candles when my kids, when Gwen was, I don't know, a couple years old. I used to have Party Light candle parties all the time. Like, I owned everything I owned everything that Party Light made. Like, I had all these little votive holders and, sconces that hung on the walls. And, like, so I remember one time we were having a beer tasting candle party. So the guys were all into all the beer tasting while the women were all playing with candles. And wait, is that like sexist, like dividing up anyway, that's just how it worked out. So your dad wanted to do a beer tasting. So
I was about to say, I would definitely be on the beer side. I don't care about candles.
But so we had like probably 40 people in the house, and all of a sudden I see our cat Elemento. He was a tuxedo like Edward, and Elemento had his tail. He was sitting up on a half wall, and his tail was in a candle.
Oh no.
And it took a little bit for one of us to notice, and for the cat to even notice that his tail was in the candle. And so then he took off running through the house.
On fire.
On fire. Candles, cats.
Yeah, I don't even have candles in my house, but for Hanukkah, for like lighting the menorah, I imagine you don't want your cat involved in that process. I don't want Edward involved in that process, I'll say, because the only times I've tried to light candles around Edward, he has tried to touch the flame with his paw, and I said, that's a no.
Yeah.
So
Well, the other problem with candles is that a lot of times if you have inexpensive candles or they're not really pet friendly with the fragrances and the oils, the VOCs that they put out, so they can be really toxic, particularly for cats. So I'd be really, really careful with anything like potpourri, anything that is going to emit scents and oils. This is the time of year when we get reports of a lot of cats going into liver failure and dying because people are making their house smell good.
Or like asthma symptoms.
Yeah. So like when I wanted my house to smell good around Christmas, I would just put on the stove to simmer a pot of water, and then I would put cinnamon and like real spices and herbs like cinnamon and cloves and things that smell good, and just let that simmer really low, and that makes your house smell really good without using inexpensive oils or synthetic oils that could be toxic.
That's a good pro tip. The other thing you had on here was batteries.
Oh my gosh.
Which is definitely, I have large dogs and a small toddler, and I have learned the hard way, $6,000 later, that sometimes the dogs like to eat the children's toys. So this Christmas, the dogs are not allowed to be in the same room as the children's toys. Yep. 'Cause I don't want to pay to have them removed. But those surgically.
Those little flat round batteries, they're a huge problem. But chewing any batteries, really, really an issue, or swallowing them.
And fireworks and noisemakers are more for New Year's, so I think we'll probably do a little bit of a more catered segment, probably closer to New Year's. But
are any scented candles safe? So
yes.
I actually just did a presentation on this where I'm part of an indoor air summit that I think goes live in March. So you want to do things like beeswax candles. If you want essential oils that are pet safe and that smell good, definitely look for something like the Animalio from Melissa Shelton. I mean, those are made by a veterinarian for use around animals, and they're for medical purposes, but they smell good. So if you're like if I was going to burn candles, I would get unscented, like beeswax candles, something like that.
I'm trying to think.
And I would get my scents from elsewhere. Like
we don't
something
we
natural.
don't carry them, but I think Kin and Kind maybe has pet safe candles.
I think they do.
Who is the other brand? There's another brand that I'm thinking of that has pet safe candles.
Yeah, we had ones that we sold at Clayton.
But I would get, so Kin and Kind, I'm like nearly positive they still sell pet safe candles, but I would look for candles specifically that are using high grade essential oils that are safe for pets. Yep. Because there's a lot of added synthetic fragrances which are actually highly toxic to us and our pets, so not good for you either.
Yeah, not good for you either.
But yeah, I also pasted on Facebook the link to the essential oils at animalio.info. Okay, so last but certainly not least, we're going to go over the holiday food items. And this is not expansive, but these are just some popular items that people have at
So at our house,
holiday dinners.
Hugh is making this, oh my gosh, phenomenal prime rib.
Okay, somebody asked me what we were having. I was like, I don't actually even know. I'm just showing up.
I mean, this thing is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. But none of that will go to the dogs because the drippings that come off of that are pancreatitis looking for a place to happen. The bones are going to be cooked, so they absolutely cannot have them. But if you're making turkey, again, cooked bones, the gravy and the drippings,
So
no
cooked,
skin.
cooked bones, cooked fats.
Cooked fats. So like the skin, that kind of stuff, absolutely not. So if you're doing turkey and your dog is raw fed, if you pull out the neck and the gizzard and the liver and the hearts and you're not using all that, that is absolutely fine for your dogs. You could cook the giblets, not the neck, but the liver, the gizzard, the heart, if you wanted to cook that for your pets, absolutely fine. Dogs or cats can have those, but no cooked bones. And be really careful with turkeys. Like if you're doing a natural turkey, that is fine. But if you're doing one that's more from a big commercial type place, the breast is injected with all kinds of things, fats and things that probably not really good for your pets.
Yeah, that is the hard. And same thing with ham. So even like
Ham is not good all the way across
yeah,
the
so
board.
ham, even if it's just like, I mean, they're all cooked anyway, but
Yeah.
a raw ham is still
Yeah.
gonna be
No
too
ham.
high
No
sodium
ham, no
for
bacon.
dogs.
Um,
So you want to avoid processed meats, so like ham, bacon, sausage, cooked fats, anything with like gristle, cooked steak, cooked prime rib.
Yes.
But in theory, our dogs could have a chunk of raw prime rib.
Oh, sure. If he wants, I am
We're
not
not
giving up
going
my
to.
prime rib for the dogs. I'm sorry. They're getting really good food, but it's not that.
I was gonna say my dogs eat better than me every single day of the year. Give me this one day.
Yep.
One day to eat better than you. The rest.
So let's see, veggies, anything raw, steamed, or canned veggies is going to be fine. Like green beans, carrots, broccoli, asparagus, mushrooms, all those kinds of things are going to be great for them. If you're making cranberry sauce, they can have the cranberries, but not all the sugar.
No onions, so avoid. That's the main thing. And like, if you do, people really do stuffing for Christmas? I don't know.
If
Some
you're
people
doing
do.
turkey, yeah.
But anything with onions, avoid. Garlic, okay.
Garlic is okay. For dogs, for cats, I would go very light with it. Starchy veggies, baked or boiled, white or sweet potatoes are fine. Not the sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows and the syrup and all that stuff.
And no raw white potatoes, right? There's some chemical in
Yeah.
raw potatoes. I can't remember the name of it.
They have selenium in them, but and fruits, they can have whole cranberries, apples, pumpkin. That stuff is all fine for them.
Although if you do serve whole cranberries, I learned the hard way that you do have to chop them up before you feed them.
They just poop them out whole.
Otherwise,
They poop
your
'em out
dog
whole.
just poops out whole cranberries.
So no chocolate, no candy,
No alcohol,
no
no
ham,
xylitol,
no xylitol, no sorbitol.
just no sweeteners.
No raisins, no pumpkin pie mix.
Garlic is okay, onions no.
So no baked pies, breads, no raw dough, like yeast dough. So if you're making homemade rolls or homemade bread that has to rise, get that far, far away from the animals, because if they ingest the raw yeast dough, it'll ferment in their stomach, and it makes ethanol, basically. So they'll have seizures, coma, be drunk.
And so for those of you that joined us a little bit late, we're going over the holiday food guide, which if you're on Instagram, if you go to the link in bio, it's under free PDF downloads. And if you're on Facebook, I posted it in the comments, and YouTube, I'm sorry no one's tending to you.
We'll get it.
I'll maybe
Add it in.
I don't know about YouTube. I didn't get that far. So yeah, I think you covered most of these, but just avoiding like sugar, salt, cooked fats, cooked bones,
Yeah.
synthetic stuff, which is really, I mean, we should be probably avoiding most of these things too.
On a daily basis, we should avoid all those things for their pets. So.
I really was like, if I just followed my own nutrition advice for pets, I would probably be 3 times healthier.
Broth, so like a chicken broth or a bone broth, turkey broth, yes, if you're making your own. I mean, we have bone broth recipes, but if you're talking about the drippings, like the stuff that drips off your turkey when you cook it, no, because that's all the grease and the fats, so none of that.
Yeah, so like an actual bone broth, we have bone broth here for dogs and cats,
Which actually is what we're using for cooking our food.
I was about to say
now.
it's like the same as a bone broth for people just without onions is usually the main difference.
Yep.
But that's different from something that's super fatty with cooked fats.
Right.
Because you always get, you know, the pancreatitis and the foreign bodies, and what are the classic holiday
So
emergency
the week
trips?
between Christmas and New Year's, your veterinarians are going to be, and emergency services are going to be very busy with pancreatitis, vomiting and diarrhea, trash-itis, you know, they get
Yeah.
into the trash, foreign bodies, hemorrhagic gastroenteritis, you know, dehydration. There's bound to be chocolate toxicities, raisin or grape toxicities, alcohol, drugs.
I'm about to say THC is going to be toxic in large doses, dogs and cats too.
Yeah, not even that large dose.
Well, yeah, but-
So,
Small dose.
yeah, and anybody who has the flu or a cold or any kind of illness throughout the holidays, please make sure that your Tylenol, acetaminophen, cold meds our, phenylephrine, phenylalanine, all that stuff. Ibuprofen,
Motrin,
naproxen, all that kind of stuff. Good secure lids where they can't get to it. Do not leave things on your nightstand. We get this all the time. Well, I had my medications lined up on my night table and the dog knocked it off or the cat knocked it off and the dog ate the bottle and it's not good. So make sure all that stuff is far away.
That happened to me. And then I spent like $75 when you call poison control or whatever it is. And they were like, oh, your dog's going to be fine. I was like, okay, that's it. And they were like, yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's $75 well spent. If you'd gone to emergency, it would have been $500
Thousands,
easily.
Yeah. And they would have also charged me the $75 fee to call poison control on my behalf.
Yeah. So go ahead and call on your own.
But that is a good resource. I think it's just called the Poison Control Hotline, right?
Yeah, there's ASPCA has one, and I think University of Illinois has one if they still have it.
So you do have to pay a fee, which is upsetting when you think you've accidentally poisoned your pet, but it is totally worth the money because they have a whole database of drugs and things.
Well, and they can
also
when you give them
veterinarians.
when you give them the size of your animal and how much of whatever it was that they ate you think they ate, they can calculate to see whether that's a toxic dose and so whether you need to be concerned or not.
So it's more than just. Is this what you're talking about? The ASPCA
Animal Poison Control.
Okay, I'll paste it on Facebook. But I had to use poison control, and this is something similar to what you used in the office too. Like if you had a dog come in and they're like, my dog ate 700 milligrams of this drug, and you're like, okay, well, I gotta call.
Yeah, we would call poison control.
Poison control.
Because they could give us instantly, this is the treatment. Rather than me running around trying to figure it out, it's like, here's how you need to treat them. This is whether you want to make them vomit or not. And this is the toxic dose, and this is how long they need to stay in the hospital, the lab work you need to be running, when you need to repeat it, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I did.
Definitely worth it.
I did quiz the girl that I had in my experience because I didn't believe it. I was like, what do you mean my dog's gonna be fine? She just ate 60 pills. She was like, yeah, but it was the natural thyroid.
Oh.
She was like, well, they process the natural thyroid supplements significantly differently than humans do. So 60 pills to you would be a large overdose, but for your dog, it's processed 1/100th of the potency or whatever she explained. So she did the math and was like, oh yeah, your dog would have had to eat 5 times more than this to have potential symptoms. And I was like, oh.
So one of our Dobermans ate 100 dog thyroid tablets once.
Well, because I realized later they're pig thyroid or something. So they obviously have some type of flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dog, when he ate his bottle, so I had only been out of school for a year, maybe 2, and so I ordered a 1,000 count bottle of thyroid medication for my dog, for the Doberman. And they had this special. If you bought a bottle of 1,000 tablets, you got 10 100 count bottles. So I basically got 2,000 pills for the price of 1,000. So I was like, okay, well, he's on this for life. Sure, why not? Well, they're flavored. They were beef flavored chewable tablets. And so he jumped up on the counter and took one of the 100 count bottles. Thankfully, he took the 100 count, not the 1,000. And he munched down all of those. So by the time I came home from work and found this disaster, luckily he had vomited brown pills everywhere.
That's
everywhere. Good. Now, it was good because he didn't get to absorb all of it because it made him really nauseous. So that was the good news. He didn't kill himself. I had to spend time cleaning carpet, but this is how you learn things. This is when you go, wow, I really need to put those medications not on top of the kitchen counter. They need to be in a cabinet.
I did, and I was like, you know what? Of the medications I had in my little chest, for her to get into the one that she processes significantly more efficiently than us or whatever made it so it wasn't dangerous, I was like, that was a good one to pick. Good sniffing.
Good sniffing.
Okay, last but certainly not least, we figured out how to gift courses. Yeah. Exciting news.
She's smarter than me.
Actually, it was mostly Emily, so thank you, Emily.
Emily's smarter.
But, so if you're on Instagram, if you go to the link in bio, it has a button for gift a course, and it takes you to the page. I'll paste it on Facebook, and I guess maybe I can hop over to YouTube for a hot second. But basically, the way it works, it's super simple. You just go on and you purchase a course online like you normally would.
On Dr. Judy U.
On drjudyu.com. I'm going to paste a link as soon as I figure out what I'm doing. And then it will email you basically a gift code. And so the person, whoever you want to gift it to, it'll say use this code for dog longevity, and so they don't have to pay for it. They just redeem that code and they get the full course. So it's really nice, especially if you forgot to get physical gifts. This is an instant digital code that processes literally. You could do it midnight on Christmas Eve if you want to. But it's also nice. We had a lot of people that say they want to send it to like a daughter, friend, family member because they really enjoyed it. So this makes it really easy. You just give them the code and the website, which is drjudyu.com. And I don't think we have all of the courses on here, but it's all of the popular ones. So if anybody doesn't see a course on the gift a course page, just send us an email and Emily can probably figure out how to do it.
It's bad when you have specialists on the team and you kind of can't live without them.
Well, that's like so we just had to hire again because we're growing pretty quickly, and she's on the younger side, and so I was like, do you know anything about TikTok? Because we need somebody in here that knows something about TikTok.
She didn't strike me as a TikTok type though.
No, she said she doesn't have a TikTok. Katie was her hire before that. She doesn't have a TikTok. You're too progressive, Dr. Judy.
Yeah.
You're on TikTok before all the kids are.
I'm good without it. It's fine.
No, you're on TikTok.
Well, my name is.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to get there.
It's just an app. It's okay. All right. So that was all we had to talk about today. I'm gonna try to hop over to YouTube and paste some of these links really quick before we finish.
And I'll post a link for supporters. We got to get something in before Christmas Eve, so before the end of the week we'll get something in.
Is this for Facebook supporters?
For Facebook supporters.
You're going to do one before the end of this week?
I'll do an Ask Me Anything, so probably Thursday night.
Okay. Facebook supporters, Thursday night. We're going to do another live on Thursday.
Oh, we are.
At...
Is it 4 again?
4:30.
Okay.
Hold on. 4. We'll be live again for Thursday the 22nd.
What are we doing? Can I know?
That's what's on.
Okay.
Super cool. You're not going to want to miss it. Isn't it exciting?
Sure.
Playing poker with Judy. She's like, this is great.
So Christmas Eve, Gwen's going to her dad's house with Sarah. So Nanny and Hugh and we have this great menu. We're doing mostly finger food, but we're going to have lobster salad because that's Nanny's favorite.
Always got to have the lobster for Nanny.
We're going to have a spinach and artichoke dip, and then what's the other thing?
You guys are just
baked brie with a fig sauce baked into brie.
I'm not a brie person.
I know, but man, I am. So we're gonna start drinking wine and snacking early in the day while we watch old Christmas movies by the fireplace and build a puzzle. So we're doing a puzzle. I found a puzzle with cavaliers. So we're doing.
Wow.
We're doing a puzzle. That's what the three of us are gonna do all day after we finish prepping everything for Christmas dinner, which will be at our house.
Oh, somebody on Instagram was asking how they can become a supporter. So
You gotta be on Facebook. That's step one.
we have, like, on all the social media platforms, there's, like, that extra payment that you can subscribe to somebody's exclusive content. So on Facebook, that's called Facebook supporters. So if you go to the Facebook page, the Dr. G. Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets, it should have a big blue button that says become a supporter. Is it still $10 a month?
Yeah, $9.99 or something.
It's like $10 a month. And it's just been grandfathered in as one of like the first things that you offered, and we just keep doing it.
We were one of the first pages that Facebook invited to do that. Karen and Rodney have one. It's their Inside Scoop that they do on Sundays. So we do a lot of Ask Me Anything, but then the supporters also get sometimes first dibs on things, or they'll get special offers on things on the website. And like for Cyber Week, they got to shop a day before everybody else with their own code, and they got a special gift included with their packages on Cyber Week. So
yeah. So on our website, drjudymorgan.com, we have the Naturally Healthy Pets community, which is free, but it's basically off of social media. It's social media-esque, but it's just a online forum.
It's a forum conversation, question and answer.
On our website, solely just about like pets and pet care. So if you're interested in that type of thing, on drjudymorgan.com, you can just apply to join to the community, and you have to apply to join, so it's nice. It's not just like Facebook where it's crazy people from all over. But with Facebook supporters, I will say like, we probably lose money on Facebook supporters, but it's just fun. Like, it's just a nice tight,
I enjoy it.
It's like a nice tight group of people that are really passionate, and you do weekly calls.
Usually weekly,
or
ask
Facebook
me
Lives.
anything, or like if I'm trying out a new presentation, if I have to put a presentation for an event.
Yeah, test it out on the supporters.
A lot of times I test it out on supporters.
Yeah.
So you get different content.
Yeah, so it's like, it's kind of similar to, I feel like everybody's doing exclusive content now.
A lot of people do Patreon.
There's Patreon. Instagram has a gated exclusive club thing, and YouTube does too.
Yep.
We haven't done it anywhere else except for Facebook, and we've kept it really cheap and just fun, really.
We do have fun.
Yeah, so if you want to be a Facebook supporter, that's kind of what you can expect. You will guaranteed get your money back like a bazillion times over in perks.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that you've offered for so long. You just keep offering.
Yeah.
Our dog just got diagnosed with kidney disease. There are some on a kidney prescription diet, of course.
So we go to drjudymorgan.com. We've got recipes for homemade food for kidney diets. We've got a very in-depth blog on kidney disease that talks about all the different supplements, ways to treat. We are really not a fan of prescription kidney diets, and there are some companies that make real food kidney diets. Darwin's Pet Food is one of them. Just Food for Dogs has a kidney diet, I believe. There's some other ones out there, but
those are the two main ones.
Those are the two biggies. We are really not a fan of the veterinary prescription diets. Although Darwin's, your veterinarian does have to write a prescription for it, but it's made with real food, so it's totally different.
I was trying to see if I could, because that, okay, I have to log in. Yeah, on the website, we have a lot of really good kidney resources. I'll just maybe post in the stories afterwards with the blog she's talking about, because that's like the third kidney disease question I've gotten today.
Get them every day.
Yes.
So tomorrow for my consultations, I have 2 consultations tomorrow. One is from Ohio and one is from Colorado, and both dogs have leptospirosis.
Oh,
like
interesting.
We are seeing more.
You'll have to do a live on.
We
on
might
it
have to.
after.
We might have to talk about it after the holidays, because we are seeing more of it, and it's a vaccine that I've never liked. And I did a continuing education vaccine thing today, and I was, of course, it goes against everything I talk about, but they did admit a couple of things that were quite interesting. So I think we'll need to talk about that. But it's really interesting that I never. I saw it like 4 times in 38 years of practice, and I've got 2 tomorrow on opposite sides of the country. So
yeah, we'll definitely have to dig into that. Yeah. There was another. Oops, it just flew by. Okay. The fat on bone broth. So do you typically, if you make your own bone broth, you just skim, like when you make the bone broth, you let it cool, and then
I put it in the refrigerator so the fat solidifies on the top, and then I skim that off.
So you skim all the fat that's on the surface after it cools. if you're feeding, so like if you buy like the crude carnivore or the Caru, or I don't think we have small batch back in, all of those, the fat content is actually pretty low. So that's fine.
Yeah,
if
it's
you
really
have,
low. It's really low.
Yeah, so if you have a dog with like pancreatitis or some
You can use them.
issue, you can still feed the bone broths that we carry. But if you make your own, remove the cooked fat.
Yep, absolutely.
Does Dr. Judy do remote consultations? You can email consult@drjudymorgan.com. Probably no, but we have a list of referrals and helpful resources.
We have at least a half a dozen veterinarians on our list, holistic veterinarians that are helping us out because I'm really backed up.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's great that people want to go more holistic route. We just need more holistic professionals.
Yeah.
Because I think we're getting to the point where even our referral lists, like some of them have a long waiting list now too. So we need just constantly have more holistic veterinarians.
Who are willing to do consults.
Can you tell me more about why to avoid cooked fat?
Pancreatitis.
Yeah, so pancreatitis has quite the reputation. It's pretty misunderstood where people just assume if your dog gets into the trash or something, they're gonna immediately have pancreatitis. But there's a lot of different causes. One of the pretty surefire ways to upset a pancreas, though, is a lot of cooked fat.
Right. So raw fat is fine. So for instance, a keto diet is 70% fat, and they don't get pancreatitis because it's raw.
Yeah.
So it's the cooked fats and high carbohydrate, high sugar diets contribute to pancreatitis. So we have a couple really good blogs on pancreatitis as well. So pancreatitis is just a state of inflammation, and anything that causes inflammation, cooked fats are pro-inflammatory. They are higher in omega-6 than omega-3. Anyway, that's another whole. I think we need to end.
Yeah, we do. But we're gonna, if we keep taking questions, we'll be here forever.
We'll be
Okay.
here forever.
So hopefully this helps. You can download Dr. Judy's Holiday Food Guide. It's a free PDF. I posted the links on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. It's just the link in bio. Free PDF downloads, completely free. You just check out for $0. And then the Holiday Health Hazards for Pets is a blog on the website as well. And we will be back Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. One of us will be. I don't know who.
I may or may not be here.
She might be here. She might be in the Caribbean. You never know.
I won't be in the Caribbean.
Maybe I will be.
No, you won't.
Love to be.
But we're going to Europe.
We're going to Europe. Okay, Katie, you got to cut us off the other ones. Oh, a segment on